Assalamualaikum everyone. So today we are going to cook keema with hadi. It's basically mince meat cooked with some bones. So the beauty about this particular dish is that you get two flavors in one dish. So you get the flavors from the mince meat and you also get the flavor from the bones, which is the best flavor that you can find in any piece of meat. I'm just going to go quickly through the ingredients now. So I've got about a little over half a kilo of mincemeat in this bowl, and I did not debone the bones. Tell the butcher not to debone them completely. What I did is ask him to leave some meat on them so that it gives you motivation to go ahead and also eat the bones as well, or try to suck onto the bones. I've also got 2 onions. Generally, I would have put 2 tomatoes, but my tomato is a bit smaller, so I'm adding 2 and a third tomato over there. 1 chili, optional, and about 2 inches of ginger, a few flakes of garlic. So ginger and garlic I always put extra in meat to reduce the smell of the meat and also to give it a nice fresh flavor. So this is about a big size of ginger and about 7-8 clicks of garlic in the spice dish or the spice plate. So the basic ones, which is salt, chili and turmeric. I've started off with half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of chili and 3/4 teaspoon of turmeric, and then we'll taste as we go on. I've also got 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I do not have garam masala, so I have to use this mix. I also have 1 teaspoon of jeera and 1 teaspoon of cumin. So if I was at home, I would have made my own jeera masala, garam masala, but this mix that I use is as good as a garam masala mix. So the very first thing I want to do is to take this pan and put water in it and let the meat boil. That's the first thing I want to do, and then we'll do the rest of the ingredients. So because this is goat leg, goat meat is generally a little tougher, so that's the reason why the first thing is I'm trying to put the goat meat in the water in the pan and just let it boil so that it tenderizes this meat. While that's tenderizing, I'll be doing other things like cutting the onions and preparing them and the masala. So we'll get that started in a few minutes. Now you can see that the meat is still simmering, and in the meanwhile I have started heating a frying pan in which I'll add oil and start frying the onions as the gravy for the keema and hadi. So I'll start off by adding some oil, and we're looking at about 8 tablespoons of olive oil. So in goes the olive oil and the onions that I have blitzed in my blender. So the onions have been put into the pan and they are starting to start cooking. We're looking at about browning them a little or caramelizing them a little, so that we can then add the mixture of what I've just blitzed, which is the tomatoes, the ginger, the garlic and the red chili. So that's also been prepared and ready sitting here. I've also got the blend of the spices which needs to go in this onion, which is the red chilies and the turmeric, salt, cinnamon, black pepper, cardamom, and the cumin and the coriander powder also ready here. So we'll first get the onion on its way in the frying pan, and then we'll add the spices next. Now the reason why I started first on the meat itself with the bone, which is right there happening, is a very simple reason, because the meat usually is supposed to cook or takes a longer cooking time as compared to the mince meat. So that's why we always start on the meat on the bone first, which is here, and then we will add the mince meat, because the mince meat will not take that long to cook. It's
the meat with the bone. That will take time. So let's brown the onions and then, or caramelize the onion, and then I'll catch up with you while we are going ahead and adding these spices. So here you can see that the onions were bright purple and they've now become pale purple. So that's when they become translucent. I know I used to wonder how they would look translucent when I was a young girl. But that's how you figure out that, you know, they become translucent with the purple onion or the red onion. With the white onion it's easier because you can easily see it. And you can see that it's also touching the base of the pan, and it's also turning a little bit brown. This is the stage that we will now introduce in this mixture all these spices. There's no form for it, so just add all of them at one go. I'll just scrape the remainder, and as soon as the spices hit the pan, they leave beautiful aroma and fragrance. So we still keep on cooking here. Basically, the idea with Indian or any Pakistani cooking is that you want to make sure that the spices are infused properly, the onion is cooked well, the tomato, the ginger and the garlic is all cooked, and it is there's no rawness at all, and that's how we like our curries. So you can see that spices are incorporated in the onion beautifully, and when you're cooking, obviously you'll be able to smell that your kitchen smells beautifully spiced up. We now add the tomato, the ginger, the garlic into the pan and start stirring. Now usually tomatoes do have water, natural water, and that's what we want to first use to cook the spices, but we'll still need to add some water, like about a quarter glass of water, to continue the cooking process. So at this stage I don't require to do anything at all, and you can see I always say that look at the mixture, it's now bright red. When it's going to be cooked, it should be close to a purplish or reddish color. That means that all the ingredients have cooked very well. And the reason why I'm going cooking this way is because, as I said, I know that the goat legs are going to take longer, and you can see that the meat is now separating from the bone, which means it is cooking beautifully. And also, you know, these are two different cuts. This is the leg of a goat, and you can see that what I meant, that the meat is, you know, it's leaving the space from here. It means that it's cooking beautifully and it's tenderizing. You can also taste it as well. So these are two different cuts of the goat. Minced meat is the easiest because minced meat, you know, everything is already minced out and it cooks quicker. Whereas when it's on bone, it generally needs 45 minutes in a pressure cooker or an hour in a pan. I don't have a pressure cooker, that's why I'm using a pan, and that's why you would see that I am first heating up the goat leg and then proceeding further. And what we will also do is that we're getting the mixture cooked separately, because if that has gone on fire earlier, then we need the mixture also cooked well, and then this mixture together with the minced meat will be incorporated in the bones. That way everything will get a good flavor. So I need to add, get some water ready, and I will show you at what stage I'll be adding. And you can see that the tomatoes did have the water and it's kind of drying up. We'll still keep on stirring it occasionally to continue the drying process, but I'm now also going to add about less than a quarter glass of water. And here you can see that the color for the tomatoes has turned from a bright red to a deeper red, and because I'm using a non-stick pan, I don't feel the urge of adding the quarter glass of water that I told you earlier on, because with the non-stick pan it doesn't stick at the bottom, which is the case in this one, but it is cooking the mixture well. So I'm pretty happy with it. I will not add that quarter glass of water. if you're doing it in a normal pan or a normal pot, then I would recommend you to add that quarter glass of water and continue the cooking. So I'm still continuing to cook even though the oil has come up, and you can see that the oil has come up in the pan as well. But I still want to cook it to make sure that it's well done. So we're looking at about a good 7 to 8 minutes of just continuously cooking and making sure that we're stirring occasionally, just so that it doesn't touch the pan. The only reason why we're doing this is that we're making sure that all the ingredients are cooked well. And even if it's dry at the moment, imagine putting it in this water for the goat leg. That's already soupy. So this mixture going in there, it will moisturize it itself. That's why I decided not to add that quarter glass of water that I had mentioned earlier. So I'll still keep on cooking it, nicely for another 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll introduce it to the meat so that the meat can also get the flavoring, and then also add the mince meat as well. So you can see that it is touching the pan as well, the frying pan, while I'm scraping it off with my wooden spoon. So another 2 or 3 minutes. So here the mixture is done well, so it's gone pretty nice, kind of a maroonish color, the one of the tomatoes, and that indicates everything is cooked well. And then I've also tasted or pinched a little bit of meat to check if the meat is tender. So the meat is tender as well, that means meat is doing perfectly fine. So I'm going to now tip all this mixture into the pan with the goat legs, and then we'll add the minced meat as well. So here you can see that the mixture has already been mixed into the goat legs, and it looks like it was cooking in it. And you can see that the tomatoes are no longer dry anymore because they're now absorbing the water from the base of this goat legs soup. Now the next thing what I've done is that the minced meat, I added some water and I moisturized the mixture. I'll tell you the reason behind it. If I did not open up the mixture and did not add some water in it, what would have happened is that it would become, it would form some kind of balls, and it would be, not fine minced meat with the bones. So adding the water and, literally gently massaging the minced meat gives the opportunity for the minced meat to actually, oh, that's a piece of the meat. Sorry, I'll throw this away. I don't know what it is. It doesn't look like it was finely minced. Anyway, sorry about that. But with the minced meat, so we've added the water to open up the minced meat so that when it's cooking in this soup, it doesn't, it doesn't form some kind of balls. It's actually individually cooked. So I'm not worried about the tomatoes in this one because tomatoes are well done. I'm not worried about the meat of the goat because I've tested it and I know it is beautifully done. I'm now going to add the minced meat so that it can cook and also contribute towards the aroma of this dish. Now, if you are in my kitchen right now, you would feel like you're sitting in an Indian restaurant and you can smell all the beautiful spices. So Indian Pakistani restaurant where you can smell the spices coming out of the kitchen. So that's the feeling I'm getting at the moment. Let me add the mincemeat and then we continue with the cooking process. So there you go. The mincemeat is now in the water, and you can see what I meant, that it's not going to form balls. It's going to be individual because of the fact that we already added water in the mincemeat and then added the mincemeat to the water. So it doesn't form those balls that we are always afraid and we're too busy struggling to break them in. So you don't have to break the mincemeat once you do this particular step, and you can see the results right in the pan at the moment. Another thing I thought is that, look, it's mincemeat. I think I'm going to add about 4 cloves in it, only because I think it will just add an extra aroma to my dish. So let's just add about 4 or 5 cloves as well. So here I've got 6 cloves and I'm adding them in, And this stays on the pan until now the water dries up completely and the oil comes up. So we'll continue with the process. The reason why I added the cloves, I felt like I need an extra aroma just to make sure that it gives that little bit of heat as well as the smell, that the clove smell in the mincemeat, that works out really nice in my house also. I love the smell of clove with always mincemeat. So that's what I thought of adding it as we went on, and I thought I better advise you as well that I did so. So we'll leave this on the cooking until now all the water dries up and the oil does come up on in the food. So at this stage you can see that the oil has already come out of the cooking and it's come up on the meat as well. And I felt like the chili was a little less, so I added some fresh green chilies. I've added some salt and I've also added red chilies. It is to taste, so if you don't want so much chili in your food, you can skip this particular stage. I've also introduced some coriander, fresh coriander that I chopped and waited to put into the dish. It's just that I want to have some cooked fragrance of fresh coriander in the dish as well. I've also retained some on this side, so there's coriander, and I've also chopped up some of the ginger in the form or in the shape of some sticks. You can see that, and this is just for garnishing purposes. So this is good to go. We just need to mix this, and I'll still cook until I can see that the mincemeat is fried beautifully in the oil and it's almost sticking at the bottom of the pan, and that's when I know it is done nicely. So I've tasted it at this stage and oh my god, I want to eat it right now. But I gotta wait. And you can see that there's oil still at the pan, on the sides of the pan. I've actually reduced the heat to medium. I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna leave it to cook in the steam and in this heat, at the medium heat, so that it can actually you can feel the burnt taste of the mincemeat, so that it can give you that, I wouldn't say burnt, it would be caramelized in the pan. So I think that's the flavor you're looking for in this particular dish. So we need to caramelize the mincemeat. So there you can see that the mincemeat was touching the pan at this stage and on medium heat. It means this is beautifully done and it's also caramelized. So what I need to do is to now remove it from the pan and put it in a serving dish. So there you go, you can see that I've removed the keema from the pot and I've actually placed it in a bowl, and I've also added a few coriander leaves and a few sticks of the ginger to give it a fresher look. And you can notice that it's kind of close to a pulled beef texture on the meat, which has also mixed in the mincemeat as well. And that's the reason why we love it, because you get a little bit, as I said at the beginning of my dish, it is a taste of two types or different styles of meat, which is the mincemeat as well as the pulled beef. Now this is generally, it's taken me almost 1.5 hours because we did put a lot of water in the beginning, and that's thanks to my husband, who decided to add some water while I was away from the kitchen. So it took me longer to dry it out. But look, if you've got a slow cooker, and that's something you can also invest, especially when it comes to Indian cooking or Pakistani cooking with the meat as well. They take a lot of time to cook these dishes. Having the masala mixed or in the frying pan at that stage, you can put your meat together with the masala and put it on a slow cooker for about 3 or 4 hours, and you can come back and it's all done. So that's another way of cooking it. But we like using the pan to make sure that each and every ingredient is cooked and we can smell all the aroma. It will be the same effect with the slow cooker, but I guess I've always grown up seeing my mom doing it like this, so and my grandmother. So I guess that's the reason why I've also still stuck to the tradition. Well, here we go. Our keema botiwala is ready. Keema hadiwala is ready. I hope you love watching my video, and I hope you do make
your keema hadiwana, and leave some comments. Let me know how it goes. I do really thank you for watching my video, and I hope you come back for another one.